Art is often described as a way to express feelings. These feelings can range from love and joy to anger and sadness. One feeling I'll be focusing on is pain. What is pain? The International Association for the Study of Pain, IASP, defines it as an unpleasant sensory or emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. In addition, the IASP adds on that pain is always a personal experience that is influenced to varying degrees by biological, psychological, and social factors. Pain comes in all sorts of forms, whether it's scraping your knees after falling off your bike, or the grief one experiences after losing a loved one. Like any feeling, pain is something we have all experienced. While pain is universal, the way we deal with it differs for everyone. In the case for Victor Bronner and Pablo Picasso, they channel their pain through their artwork. The first artwork I'll discuss is Bronner's 1930 oil on canvas painting Suicide at Dawn. For the artist's background, Bronner was a Romanian surrealist painter and sculptor, and one of the most important members of the Romanian avant-garde. He was born on June 15, 1903, in Romania. 1930, Bronner moved to Paris where he joined the Surrealist movement. He would later pass away in the same city on March 12, 1966. When I was researching Bronner's biography, I learned of an interesting story involving him and his work, Self-Portrait with a Nucleated Eye. 1931, he made the painting, which depicted him without his left eye. 7 years later, Bronner ended up losing the same eye during a violent argument between Oscar Dominguez and Esteban Francis. In Suicide at Dawn, two figures stand alone in the middle of a barren black and gray landscape. The first figure is very demonic, while the second figure is white and human-like. The painting shows the demonic figure coming through the pale figure's chest. In the decades since the painting was made, some people believe this work may represent the artist's inner conflict. Given the title of this piece, this is a take I agree with. The reason why the Romanian artist fled to Paris in the first place was to escape the rise of fascism in his home country. Having one's life uprooted like that must have been a painful experience for Bronner. Since the painting was made the same year he moved to France, I believe Suicide at Dawn may have served as a way for Bronner to cope with his recent experiences. For colors, Bronner uses brighter shades for the two figures and darker shades for the background. The brighter colors for the figures make them stand out more, while the darker colors in the background evoke a sense of isolation and emptiness. To me, this artistic choice highlights how people often feel isolated by their pain. In many cases for people with physical injuries or depression, they don't want to feel like a burden to others and keep their pain to themselves. For line, the painting's sole use is the divide between the black and gray backgrounds, and for light, it falls on the left side of the white figure, but the highlights on the red figure suggest a light source to the right as well. The next artwork I'll discuss is Picasso's 1937 oil on canvas painting, Weeping Woman with Handkerchief. Out of the two artists I'm covering, Picasso is more well known. Today, Picasso has become a household name, like Leonardo da Vinci and Vincent van Gogh. Before joining this class, even a guy like me, who only has a layman's understanding of the art world, was familiar with Picasso. For some background, Picasso was a Spanish painter, sculptor, printmaker, and stage designer. He is also credited with the creation of Cubism. In Cubist paintings, objects are broken apart and reassembled in an abstracted form, highlighting their composite geometric shapes and depicting them from multiple simultaneous viewpoints in order to create physics-defying, collage-like effects. Picasso was born on October 25, 1881, in Spain. Like Bronner, Picasso also moved to France and spent most of his life there. He later passed away on April 8, 1973, in France. In Weeping Woman with Handkerchief, we are presented with a portrait of a crying woman. To her right is a crumpled handkerchief, while one of her hands is on her chest. For this painting, Picasso modeled the woman after his partner, Dora Maar. At the time Picasso made Weeping Woman with Handkerchief, his home country of Spain was in the middle of a devastating civil war. Seeing all the death and destruction had a profound effect on the Spanish artist. Regarding his thoughts on the war, Picasso has said, "My whole life has been nothing more than a continuous struggle against reaction and the death of art. How can anyone think for a moment that I could be in agreement with reaction and death?" Besides Weeping Woman with Handkerchief, Picasso made other works criticizing the war, like his 1937 oil-on-canvas painting Guernica, which was named after a Spanish town that was recently bombed. Compared to Bronner's work, Picasso's painting has much more vibrant colors. While Suicide at Dawn is dominated by grays and blacks, Weeping Woman with Handkerchief is filled with pinks, yellows, and greens. For lines, the woman is outlined by dark black lines. These lines make the woman's features more prominent to the audience. For light, the imaginary light source seems to be projected at the woman's face. Because this light source is focused on her, the woman's body is well lit, while the background is completely dark. To wrap things up, pain is something we will all experience, but it is up to us to decide how to deal with it. For Bronner and Picasso, they chose to channel their pain through their art. I will end this video with a quote from Haruki Murakami. "Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Say you're running and you think, man, this hurts. I can't take it anymore. The hurt part is an unavoidable reality, but whether or not you can stand anymore is up to the runner himself."